Shall we get into it?
Yes.
So, hi everyone. I've got T here with me today, and I wanted T to jump on because I wanted to have a real conversation about changing the brain. Obviously, I'm always banging on about how if something's undesirable, we've got inputs and outputs, and when we have an undesirable output, then what we can do in that moment is actually change the input instantly to get a new output. So I I find it fascinating that, if we're watching TV, we can literally go, oh, I don't like this channel, and you change the channel, and you instantly change the input, and you've got a different output. Or you've got some outfit on, and you're like, nah, I don't like it, I'm going to change it. Or you're having a conversation with someone, you're like, nah, I'm going to change this as well. So we have the power in so many aspects of our life to change instantly what we don't like. Yet the hardest thing we think to change is what we are physically feeling, emotionally, or physical. So I wanted to bring T on because I've worked with T. Shit, how long have I worked with you now? 6 months?
Longer? God, it's a bit longer, I think. I don't know, like 8? I don't know.
A while.
Like,
And T originally came to me because she was experiencing a lot of vestibular issues, dizziness, like couldn't leave the house almost. You were kind of at that stage, weren't you, where you were so bad that when you walked outside, the world was just trying to get you. And we worked on a lot of different things physically, but I taught T basically the most important thing is that in those moments is to change the input, and that is both physically and mentally. So where are you at now, T? It's been 8 months. We've done a lot of work together, coaching, mentoring, done the brain assessments and the emotional support and so many things. So where are you now? Because that's the fascinating story.
That's it's been such a journey. Like, and you're right, when I first met you, I was too scared to even go for a walk. Just take my son to school. His school was 2 streets away, and I was terrified. And every step I took, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And now I'm literally swinging on a chair, like on a swing at the park. I'm getting back to like riding my scooter. I've moved house. I bought a house. It has 3 levels, so I'm going up and down the stairs a gazillion times. I'm not scared to go to the shops. I'm not scared to drive. I'm walking. I went back to yoga. Just everything has changed. Everything. And yeah, I'm still, learning as I go. But yeah, just the shift has been huge.
Yeah.
Do you want me to explain how?
Well, from a year ago to now, there is a massive difference. And I remember saying to you a year ago, you can't get well in the same environment you got sick in. And T literally took that and ran with it and has changed nearly every aspect of her life, from where she's living to how she's working to how she's, living everyday life to more nature to everything. So you have actually taken everything that I've said and you've run with it. So kudos to you for actually putting in the change and doing the hard work, because if you change the input, you're going to get a different output. Now, I remember one big hurdle that we came across. I remember you reaching out to me and you said, listen, I've got this opportunity to buy this house and I'm in love with it, and it is just where I want to be, living and where I want to be in my life, but it's 3 stories. And that scares the shit out of me because I'm going to be dizzy every time I walk up and down the stairs. And what did I say?
No, I remember coming into the inspection, I was so blown away, but even walking up the stairs, I was just like falling all over the place. And instantly the reaction in the moment was, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, I'm going to go backwards. Everything that I've worked towards is just, I can't. And my instant reaction was, I just need to go back. I need to go back to the old house and just not change anything. And I got in the car and I sat out in the car and I was looking at the house and going, I love it, but I love it. And then I messaged you and you were like, the one thing I remember that you said that's stuck with me ever since is the universe gives you opportunities, it challenges, and it's your job whether you choose to accept it or not. And you can see this as everything that you've been working towards. You've been asking for this. You've been slowly changing every bit of it. And you can see this as like an amazing opportunity to, like, you know, and yeah, all those conversations just literally just change that thought process emotionally as well. And in my body, I was just like, no, like, I just, you know, I've made all these other changes. And this is where my next step is. This is where I need to go. And yeah, if I keep shying away from all these new challenges and things, I'm just going to stay in that same place. Like, I needed to change that new input and allow it in, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was scary to be like, but what if I get dizzy when I move into that house? I think I said to you, the moment you choose fear, the moment you choose the challenge is the moment the universe or whoever you want to, you know, it's just, it's neurology as well, is the moment everything goes, she's accepted that. Then we change these inputs and these frequencies to give her a new. So when we stick to the old and we stick to our BS, which is that belief system, and we stay in that bubble, which you could have quite easily gone, nah, this is going to make me dizzy, like too much of this. I'm just going to stay where I don't feel dizzy in my house. And you wouldn't have got where you were today if you did that decision. Because
absolutely.
You stepping, literally, as I said, when you stepped into that new house, you stepped into a new version of yourself and a new challenge that came with it. And then your brain had to adapt to that to create the new life you now live.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like, I remember if I would have let my thoughts and that fear drive me, I would have, like you said, gone back to the other house, my comfort zone, and I'd probably not have, well, I wouldn't be where I am now. And all those worst fears that were just stopping me, none of them were true. Like, I moved into the house, and at the start I was walking as if it was all cushiony, different surfaces. And yeah, my brain was a bit like, where are we? It feels like a trampoline. Within 3 or 4 weeks, I had adjusted. My brain adjusted, and I did the whole move up and down a million times, and I was like, I'm starting to walk a bit faster up the stairs. I'm running up the stairs. I'm jumping up the stairs. And it's like, it's just amazing. Like, that was a real huge turning point for me, because it showed me in, like, with evidence, just how quickly I can adapt. And, you know, if you kind of accept that challenge, your brain goes, okay, we're doing this. Let's go.
It has to. You give it something new, it has to join the party. It's not going to stick with the old when there's a new neural input coming in. And I think that's where most people don't understand that. And it's instead of that belief system going, but I've always been like this when I do this. And I'm like, well, have you changed that input? Whether that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, a new house. Have you changed something drastically so your brain goes, holy shit, I got to catch up with this chick because she's over there and I got to catch up with her.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm so proud of you about, is the whole way along this journey that you have been aware of the emotional, like, noise in your head. I can give you 1,000,001 exercises to do to help you with your vestibular and your dizziness and all that sort of stuff. And yes, it helps in the moment. Some of it helps in the moment, but more than anything, I think it's that emotional, catching that emotional anxiety or fear, and I guess on top of that, saying no instead. What's some things that you would catch yourself saying, and then on top of it going, hang on a second?
Well, that was actually like the huge turning point when I met you. I remember just so clearly, we had that session and I explained it all to you. You assessed me, and you said to me at one point, okay, look to the right. And I was like, because of all the practitioners that I'd seen and everything, I was like, oh, no, my atlas is rotated. I can't turn to the right. You're like, no, show me. And I was like, that's as far as I can go. But, I've got to have my atlas adjusted and blah, blah, blah. And you were like, okay, all right. And then you made me stand with my feet together. You didn't say anything, but you just like stand with your feet together, and then you like put your finger out and you made me look around my finger and move it all around in circles and whatever. And in my head, I was just like, okay, all right, what are we doing here? Anyway, and and I remember then you saying to me, all right, turn your head again. And I turned my head, and my head just literally went full rotation. And I remember just my jaw dropping to the ground and going like, I think I was screaming, I was crying, I was laughing. I didn't know what was going on. And that's when you looked at me and you said, if you change your input, you'll get a different output. And that's when it stuck to me. And then from then on, that was when I was like, okay, this is serious work. And from then we spoke about how like I would instantly be walking around and I'd feel that bit of dizziness and I would just freeze and go, oh my God, it's happening again, and then go and sit down and rush. And then from those chats and what you were explaining to me, I made it like, it was almost like an intensive course that from the minute I woke up until the minute I went to sleep, I remember it was like 2 weeks straight where I'm like, no, I'm going to go, just stop, change the input. So then I would be like, and it took me, the first few times, it would take me a while to do that pause and catch myself. But I would literally just drop whatever I was doing and I would do like just balance and then balance and balance, or just like do my eye things. And I would interrupt that, like that fear, that trigger. And I would find that dizzy, whatever it was going, would just kind of dissipate. And I would just get back on track. And then I'd keep going. The first few days, I was doing it literally 100 times a day. And then it just became faster and faster and faster that I would catch myself. And then it just became kind of automatic where, you know, because, yeah, like you said, your brain adapts. Your brain just knows. Well,
Creating.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and you lose the fear of it. So then it's like, oh, okay, all right, I've got to give it something else. All right, what are we doing? Let's recalibrate. All right, we're good. Let's go.
Yeah. You change that. Yeah, it's that adaptability. It's that, you know, in that moment of fear, and it was also fear, but also physical, right? So you're feeling the dizziness, but with that dizziness, you're feeling the fear. So by you giving yourself a physical exercise to do, not only is it switching on more lights in your brain, but those more lights is also working the fear parts of your brain, or the emotional aspect parts of your brain, to wipe both out, to wipe the dizziness and the fear out. So you go, there we go, and you move on. How I kind of explain that to people is, I don't mind what you do to change your input. Like, I can give you the tools to change people's input, but you take a big breath, you go outside, you take a drink of water, like whatever it is that you feel is going to help you just change that kind of switch in your brain. But more importantly, if you turn more lights on when you do it, there's more chance of a huge and more powerful outcome. So let's just look at fear and doubt for a minute. So if I've got a little flickering candle on here, and it's, you know, it's my doubt candle, and then how I can change that doubt input into my brain, because you can do it, as I said, physically and emotionally. So if I want to change this fear, I want to change this doubt in my brain. How can I do that? Well, you do a physical exercise, you do an emotional cue, like I'm just doubting myself at the moment, blah, 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 and you kind of change the emotional input. And what you're doing there is how you're switching more lights on, is because if I've got one candle here and I bring 6 more candles to that candle, all light actually switches on and you can see more, and your brain's like, holy crap, there's more things wired and fired up here. I have to change the pattern and do something different on the outside of it. That's why I loved your work that you've been doing, because you hit it both emotionally and physically, and that's why it was faster than people who just hit physically. You know, if you're just hitting the exercise and doing that, that is great, because it also is going to change the doubt part of, or, you know, the emotional aspects of the brain. But I love that on top of it, you were like, I'm dizzy, but it's okay. I'm going to do this exercise and I'm going to feel great. Your little cells who spy on you all day long just go, yeah, what she said.
Let's follow.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest difference as well is, I mean, I've seen you change so much in this past year.
Yeah.
But from where you were, so let's just get a little bit of a kind of round out from where you were to where you are now, because there is a huge difference. Like, were you working when you initially met you?
I was working, but I was working from home, but it was pretty much a struggle to to work, to look at the screen, to stay concentrated. I think by about like 10, 11, my brain would just completely burn out and I would need to sleep and sleep and sleep. It was like my capacity was next to nothing. And I would be too scared to even get up off my chair and then change scenarios and get up and walk, because any change like that, my brain would just be like, whoa, what are we doing? Like, and yeah.
And you said your capacity was just non-existent. So was that also in other areas of your life, not only work? Was that like emotionally, relationships around you, your kids, your lifestyle, your attention span of what you were doing in that moment as well?
Yeah, everything. I was crying every day, crying to my kids every day, just asking people like, oh, is this ever going to go away? Is this ever going to get better? Like, I was just asking other people to almost, handing my power over to other people's words of encouragement to keep me going, like, because I just felt so lost and like it was just stuck. Like I was lying down consistently. I was stuck, like absolutely stuck in every area. I had also just separated, so that was another side of things as well, which obviously, emotionally had a huge impact, and trying to like move on from that. Just trying to get.
Would it be fair to say that you felt dizzy and your life was unbalanced in many different areas, and that's what contributed also to the dizzy, unbalanced motion in your life?
Every area of my life was imbalanced. All of it. My health, physical health. I was just constantly sick. Just all of it. There was not one part that was like, wow, at least this is fine. I was like, no, it's all a shit show.
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm a big believer in, I can't just treat one aspect of someone's life. Like if you come and see me, I'm like, all right, you're going to get to know me real good here, because I'm not here just to teach you about how to change the input into your brain. How's your relationship? How's the water intake? How's your poo? How's your cycles? How's your... and you're like, yeah. But I mean, you had an amazing team around you as well, other practitioners and things like that. So was there, after kind of feeling that and you started getting your A team together, was there a real turning point that you went, I can actually see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was starting to see all those areas, and it's like that's what becomes really overwhelming, because you're like, I've got the dizzy, I've got the emotional stuff from the separation, my health is a mess, I'm getting sick all the time, I'm not eating properly, like I'm, all inflamed. And we worked on the lymph stuff, and so that was like that got that side of it going, and then the emotional stuff I was dealing, with the other practitioner to release all that. And so slowly, bit by bit, I was looking at it like as a whole mess. And I'm like, okay, we've got this like ball of just chaos. Who are we allocating to each part of this? And then like when I met you, you were like, okay, well, this is a huge chunk. And then, once I saw that I had all these other bits covered, that gave me the reassurance to go, okay, now I'm on track. Like now, and it's like an energy thing as well, because before I saw you, I'd spent 12 months with a million different practitioners, but it just took a while to get to the right people. And I think that the reason why I find so powerful that whole neck thing that we did with you was because that gave me trust and that gave me proof. Because up until then, I had believed in so many people telling me it's this, it's this. And then months later going, I've just wasted thousands of dollars, and it was never that. And you lose that trust. But that minute that I gained that kind of connection with you and that trust, and then with the other practitioners as well, I was like, now I've got my people. Like now we're on track. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot of the mental stuff, because you stop questioning it. You're like, at least said so. We're doing this.
Yeah. But I think it's also, you found people who trust you, but those people are also pushing trust into you, so you trust yourself more in your feeling in yourself more than anything.
Yeah.
So then from there, where are you now? Because, well, what's new in your life now?
Well, I'm actually studying at the moment.
Another one, you're like, I really, and I'm like, do it.
Yes, because I just, like through this journey, it's been such a long journey, and it's just blown my mind. And I don't know, I almost feel like privileged in a way that, I was able to come across you and the other practitioners. And I don't know, I just, had the capacity to also understand and learn like what it is what's happening, and how I can change things, how I do have that power to be able to change things, how my body will respond to what I'm telling it, how also a lot of the things that I've been taught in the past weren't necessarily accurate. And yeah, it's just given me like a huge drive to keep learning so that I can actually help other people who are in my same position, who, think that what they've been told, like this is forever and that's it. And it's not. It's just not. It's no. It is. No. It's absolutely not. It won't be. And I don't know. I'm just so passionate now about all this. Like everyone needs to know that there is a light, that it's not forever, and there's so many ways that you can get out of it. But the power of this is number one. Like the power. Yeah.
And the thing is too, it's from where you started, and I remember you kind of being like, oh, I mean, I want to study and I want to do all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, this is your journey. Can you not see it?
Yeah.
You are given the dizziness because the universe or whoever you want to, think is teaching you some serious lessons to step you into your future self so that you can teach other people about it as well. So most people who have, major accidents or illnesses or cancers or whatever it may be, then go on to actually doing something in that field, because that's the best way to learn. Like if I had back pain, I always say this, if I had back pain and I don't know, it's so severe, I would want to go to someone who's had back pain and fix themselves over someone who's learnt about back pain and just tells you what to do about the back pain. You want someone who's been through the trenches because they know what's going to work as well. So that's where that kind of energy things comes from too, because you've got to find those people. So if you with a practitioner and they do not light you up, and when you leave their energy and you leave the session, you're feeling depleted and like, I'm never going to get better. They told me I'm never going to get better. How do you think that's going to make your progress go?
Yeah.
Oh, they just literally got the candle and went and like blew it out, right? But if you finish with a practitioner and they're like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do this, and they get their candle and they give it to you and light it up, my gosh, it's the trust, it's the excitement, it's the inspiration, it's the motivation, and it's knowing that you're going to be able to take a step with that person in the.
Yeah, and I kind of visualize it as like, I know what it's like to be in that dark hole when this dizzy thing hits you, because at the very beginning you are in a dark hole, and I just want to, be that person that can just reach that hand out and go, it's fine. Like, I know it's dark in there, but like there's a light out there. Like,
you're already doing that. You are already doing it for so many people in the dizzy community. You're like, people are like, what are you doing? And you're like helping those people grow already. Yeah. Even though you've got, you're still working on yourself, which we all do. Like nothing's going to be, a magic switch, but you definitely have tools in your belt now to kind of help other people as well as yourself. And that's even more powerful.
Yeah. And I just feel like, how you were saying, it almost feels like this is my purpose in life. Like, I'm a mum, I've got kids, okay, like, but it's like the first time that I've felt like, no, what, it's as if it's been given to me, that, and it's my responsibility, because not everyone, like I said, has that privilege of being able to go through so many practitioners. And I was in a situation where I could, until I found the right ones. And so it's, yeah, sadly there's too many people who can't access that. And
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, they need to be aware of you, people like you in this world.
Yeah.
Who
And
make
that's
that
why
difference.
I'm so passionate about teaching the change thing, you know, change what's going in, change what's coming out.
Yeah.
Making it as simple as changing the TV channel. Like, if
Yeah.
something is going on in the body, change the input. Like, if you are experiencing something shit on the outside, a headache, nausea, vomiting, you know, a dizziness, a back pain, knee pain, whatever it is, in that moment, change your channel. Like, change what's coming in, switch more lights on, and you will have to get a different output. That in itself has like helped me in my own journey, you know, with so many things, you know. I don't know, I could be like about to have an argument with my partner or something, and in that moment I'm like, change your input. Like, okay, change my input, and then I come across totally different. Like, that just clicks over in my head. Change your input, change your input, change your input. Oh, yeah, yeah. And I loved, one thing I did love about your journey is you wrote down a lot of stuff around your house, and you had sort of vision boards, and you had diaries, and you had quotes, and you had like so many things that actually helped you
everywhere.
to see that change too. So you
Yeah.
ignore it because it was in front of your face everywhere. That is another massive one for the brain, is that visual cue, and switching things on visually as well.
Yeah. And I think like the biggest thing for me that like helped me so much was, and I feel like a lot of people find this probably challenging as well, is that we kind of think that we are a certain way and that's just how we are. Like, I'm not a morning person. I'm just not. I can't cook. And but if you just keep saying that and not trying, you're always going to be a shit cook. You're always going to be burn your toast. You know, and that was the biggest thing for me, that when I set those first 2 weeks of like intense course, and I was saying like, I'm going to interrupt it, that made me realize how I can go from being the person that I thought I always was to the person who gets up and can't wait to go for a walk before the day has even started, and getting up before the sun's up, or taking my shoes off and standing on the grass and just like listening to the birds. Whereas my brain's always been like, stop the birds, I've got stuff to do, you know. And all of a sudden now I'm just like standing out there and just smelling the grass and the trees and the leaves. And but it's like, you can become that person. You can change. Like, you can make those changes. The brain can change. It just takes consistency and just determination. And you can, yeah. And I think once I kind of started seeing that, that's when, you know, everything shifted, like all my routines. And
I love that, because no one starts out loving something. You know, like, I talk about, I don't know, I'm going to go for a run tomorrow, and you're not a runner, you're not going to love it, are you? You're going to be like, oh shit, I've got to get up and set my alarm for 4 o'clock and get up and go for a run. And that 4 o'clock comes and you're like, oh crap, I said I would do it. And then you go for the run, and you see someone running past you who's just like, and loving it. And you're like, holy fuck, how do you love this? This is really hard. But that person has put in hours and mornings and effort and time over you, and has learnt to love what they're doing. And it's become easy and just second nature to them. So we always have to start here, where it's like shit and hard and tough, but you will actually get there, and you'll be like, I am a morning person. This is freaking awesome. You know,
yeah,
I love cooking because I've done it time and time again. I always say the brain takes like 2,000 reps for you to even start switching over. So like you did in that 2-week intensive, it was like hundreds of times a day you were adding in that change. And that's where you got probably the most amount of change in, is that repetitiveness of doing it over and over and over again. Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm so stoked. I'm just like, when you met me, I'm like, yes, he's killing it. This is so good. And I think, you know, I do invest a lot of my energy in seeing someone win. Like, I think that's probably where my
Oh, yeah.
downfall, but my, not fall is I want to see my clients actually win and succeed and do well. I don't want to. Why would I just give you a program and go, see ya? I'm like,
Hey, you're like my life cheerleader. It's like you're just like here, and I'm like, oh my God, Elise would be so proud. And then I'll just drop a voice memo, be like, oh my God, you should see this pelican I just saw in the water. Or guess what I just did? I just jumped up and down 5 times. And I know, like,
yes.
and then I know it's going to be my hype woman going like, hell yes, you did this. This is amazing. And then explain to me even further. And my brain's like, whoa, this is so cool.
Because it lights me up too to see you actually thriving and changing your life. Yeah. And you did that all yourself. Like, I was your hype woman, but you actually did the work. So you've got to take the credit for all of that. I gave you the tools, but you actually used the tools every single day. That's like a mechanic being given a set of tools and going, thanks, and just sitting down and not doing anything with them. Like, you did it. Well done.
Thank you so much. It's just,
yeah, I hope people listening to this just realize that, from T's story, you can change the person you are, you can change the environment you're in, you can change the situation, you can change so many things. It does just take a little bit of stepping out of the uncomfortable and stepping into the fear. But usually when you step into that fear, most people just about to open that door and then go, I can't do this, and turn around and walk away. But when you open that door, it's like, holy shit, look what's ahead of me now. And that's where you're at. That's cool. Yeah.
It's work in progress. It's like I'm leveling up, Now it's like the next lot of, whoa, that feels scary. No, we can do it because those little things felt scary. Let's go.
100%. And you're going to be able to do that time and time and time again. No one's ever going to not be like that, because that's life, isn't it? And the moment that you don't step into the fear and you stay into the comfortable, you're like, well, I'm not growing and not learning shit.
Yeah.
So give me the sweaty palm, the anxiety feeling, because I know if I step into that more, I will grow more.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you for talking to me today. And I hope everyone gives you a follow, because you've got a pretty fun Instagram account too. Now, what is it that you're studying, so everyone can come and jump on and learn from you too?
So I'm studying to be a functional medicine practitioner, because essentially with this dizzy stuff, it's just made me realize that, yeah, okay, we get the dizzy and we can do all this work to fix it, but there's a portion of it that's like migraines and, the triggers that relate to getting sick and your hormones and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just really geeking out on learning about like what chaos is happening in the body, where the body's like talking to us and with symptoms and saying like, hey, we're not happy here, something's off. And so like, just like we're doing with the brain and, with everything else, like, let's have a look at what it is. Let's listen to the body and fix it so that, so yeah. But yes, I post random stories.
Yeah, it's no system in the body works alone. So we have to look at the umbrella of everything to get where we want to go, for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to watch your journey and help you along the way too. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elise. It's like, yeah, been so good. I'm so grateful.
All good. Absolute pleasure. Well, guys, I will see you guys next week in our little videos. But for now, thank you, T, and thanks, guys. We'll chat soon.